What's good? Hey, so listen. It is very important now that if you are from the American continent, let me repeat, if you are from the American continent, meaning you have ancestry here on the American continent, I'm not just talking about one of the one of the many countries that's here on the continent known as America. One of those countries would be the United States of America. And then you have the 35 American countries outside of that, like Argentina, Bolivia, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Mexico, Canada. You understand? If you are from the American continent, I don't mean you were just born here, I mean that you have ancestry here. If you were from the American continent, it is extremely important that you know how to identify yourself. If you understand that, it don't matter where you go on this planet, you will always be grounded in who you are based off what you know. So, if you know your ancestors are from this continent, then they will be classified according to the United States of America. If you were to come over here, you should be classifying yourself as an American Indian. Because according to the census, an American Indian is a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North, South, Central America. So it's not confined or limited to just the United States of America. So the United States of America actually allows anyone who's coming from a different country, but who is also from this American continent and has ancestry here, you are able to come into this country and identify yourself as an American Indian based off your genealogy and your historical facts that you are in possession of and you are aware of. Right? Because if you don't know, then how can you defend or have something or be in possession of something you know nothing about? Right? So, for example, if you're thinking that you're black or African American, you're never going to think of yourself or look at yourself in the perspective of an American Indian, when by definition, that's exactly who the fuck you are. Go to any African, so-called African person you may know. First of all, ask them if they identify as African. They'll tell you no. They identify specifically from the country they're from. So whether that's Senegalese or South African, just for lack of, Moroccan, Tanzanian, Algerian, Egyptian, all these people will let you know that you don't have no interest in Africa the same as they do. Your inheritance is in America. You're an American. You're not an African American, you're an American. African DNA or blood? No, not even African DNA or blood. American DNA and blood. Okay? America is the first continent out of the waters. America has the oldest rocks on the planet. I'm going to repeat that once again. Science has shown and proven that America is the possessor of the oldest rocks on the planet. So, therefore, if America is in possession of the oldest rocks, then it would not be too far-fetched to say that since America has the first rocks, maybe America was the first land. Because why would the first land not have the oldest rocks? That don't make much sense. So, with that part being said and spoken for, yeah, if you are from the American continent, it don't matter where or what country you go to, you should be identifying yourself as an American or American Indian, if possible. Because the definitions of those terms speaks to who you are. People don't know how to drive and stay in their lane, right? It speaks to who you are. So if you don't know thyself, you're never going to be grounded, no matter where you go. So it's paramount that you know who you are, so that way wherever you go, you'll be grounded and rooted in yourself. And also too, you'll make yourself accessible to those rights and protections that can be afforded you based on who you are. It's about the blood, man. It ain't about how people feel. These niggas ain't out here. They're not obligated to protect me because of whether they like me or not. They gotta protect me because there's an obligation. There's an obligation. There's a trust agreement. There's a treaty agreement. There's a constitutional agreement. Going way back. Way back. Okay? To the 1600s with the Great Law. So, I'm just trying to, get that psyche in. So let's say if you're coming from Haiti, si ou sorti pays Haiti, epi kounya ou vin la nan Amerik, men Haiti nan Amerik, kompon? Haiti se un pays nan Amerik. So dep kite Haiti ou pa jam kite Amerik. Ou te toujou nan Amerik, men pays a ou te viv. Pays a ou te viv, le Haiti. Kompon? So, if you're Haitian and you come into, let's say, this country, yeah, it's all right. It's cool. You just want to be specific and you want to write in your direct nationality. So you want to say Haitian. That's okay. Write in Haitian. But you got to understand, there's layers of misinformation to this shit. So there was a point in time in my life where if I had to classify myself, I would classify as Haitian because that was my go-to. That was all I understood as a real fact and foundation. But then you go and do deeper research, and then you come to find out that the people who were called Haitian, before they were called Haitian, were originally called the Natchez. And the Natchez were living in the Natchez Valley in Mississippi in the 1700s. Specifically, we got shipped out to Haiti in 1729 after the French Indian Wars. So then it's like, yo, so Haitian? No, not Haitian, now Natchez. Natchez, Wenatchee. The true name is Wenatchee, but everybody's familiar with Natchez, the misnomer. So then it's like, oh, so there's layers or levels to this shit. So now today, if somebody would have asked me to identify myself, based on what I know, I'm not throwing away my Haitian heritage. I'm embracing it in its true self. All Haitian people are Natchez or Wenatchee. Wenatchee means fast warrior. Parce que nous vite. Nous vite. De tout bagay nous fait nous vite. Okay? So, a Haitian, let's say a Haitian come over here in this country, you should be identifying yourself as an American Indian. Period. American Indian and white person if you can help it. I personally, but everyone got their own stereotypes that, based on what I think white people did to me, I don't want to classify as white. Nigga, you the white man. That's not the white man. That's not the white man. You. Melanin people. You the carbonated people. You the white man. For real, but shh. Ignore the nigga, right? I'm just in a conspiracy. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just been living like a moron in my proper persona for over 10 years now. You know what I'm saying? Then had to bump my head against the wall a couple of years. But I got the shit together. Got everyone on the right path. Now everybody's doing their thing. Babies is straight. So, don't listen to this more. This more don't know what he talking about. Although I have plenty of people who can express how I've been able to help them, whether directly or indirectly with the information, because the information ain't capped. It ain't no bullshit. It ain't nothing I made up. It's shit I had to go through to acquire and attain the information. So now I'm literally sparing you from years of fucking up, of learning, of going through those learning growth pains to learn. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving you the straight potatoes. I'm giving you the straight quinoa, lentils, and potatoes. Okay? With some salmon on the side, or maybe some venison, or maybe some bison, or some elk. Alright? That's what I'm giving you. So comprehend. If you're Haitian, even if, let's say you're Jamaican, let's say you're Trinidadian, let's say you're from Bolivia. Let's say you're Argentinian. I understand. You want to show to the country, so you're going to write, if you have to classify, you're going to write directly Argentinian or Jamaican. But understand, those terms are recent. They're not ancient. Like I said, before niggas was called Haitians, we was called Natchez. The Natchez Indians. The band of Natchez Indians. That's who we were. That's who we are still today. I know, so I'm going to be here to remind you. So if you're coming from this continent, and you're from this continent, and you have ancestry in this continent, you should be classifying in this particular government called the United States of America as an American Indian. If you are not classified as an American Indian, you're not telling the entire truth. So help you God. You understand? You see how Haitian people are getting treated? You see how us Haitians are being treated? Why? Because we're being classified as Haitians. So technically, since we're classified as Haitians, now you can put us in a box and say, oh, well, since we're Haitians, our country is just Haiti. So unless we're in Haiti, anywhere else that we go on the same fucking continent, we will be deemed or considered as aliens, rather than being looked as the nationals of the land. And that's the problem with not classifying as an American Indian, because an American Indian covers all of that. Y'all don't comprehend. American Indian covers Haiti. It covers Jamaica. It covers Trinidad, Tobago. It covers Saint Martinique. It covers Saint Croix. It covers Saint Lucia. It covers Puerto Rico. It covers Turkey. It covers Greenland. Even motherfuckers in Canada, that's covered. Mexico, covered. So when you come over here, you should be identifying as an American Indian. Nothing more. I mean, really, American Indian and white person. That's how we should be moving. The white is to protect us in our commercial dealings. Okay? The American Indian is to protect us in our divine dealings. All right? Indian's not a misnomer for us. Indian's not a misnomer for us. We just got the misrepresentation of what it means backwards. There's Supreme Court case law that states that Negro and Indian is synonymous. So the Negro is the Indian and the Indian is the Negro. They'll never tell you that. So how come people got issues with Indian, but then nobody got an issue with when they know for a fact that everyone who's from the West Indies, they're referenced as West Indian. West Indian. Why is that? Why is somebody from Puerto Rico considered a West Indian? Why is somebody from Jamaica considered a West Indian? Dominican Republic, a West Indian. Haiti, a West Indian. Cuba, a West Indian. Y'all don't get it? West Indian. We're on the West, yo. West Indian. You already know when you think about the Caribbean islands, you only think about dark-skinned people. Either my complexion or darker. That's what you're thinking about, because it's hot in the Caribbean. So automatically, because it's hot, you think about dark, burnt motherfuckers. And we're classified very well knownly to the entire population as West Indians. But then we don't identify as Indians on documentation. Why? Why do we accept it? Why do we accept that reference there, but then we don't apply it in our legal dealings? It's paramount. This is what status is about. Status is about you knowing who you are and identifying as who you are. Every time, without mistake, without error, without hesitation. There's never a guess. Well, you know, I'm from the Muskogee Confederacy, Natchez tribe. That's me. Confederation, Muskogee. Tribe, Natchez. That's me. Who are you? So then that would let you know that, hey, this guy's an American Indian. So that means you don't know, he may not be from this country, but he's definitely from this continent before these countries were established. Precedence. Remember, first in time, first in line, first in time, first in line. So you have to show that you were here first in time. So that way you can be first in line to receive your protections and your hereditaments. It's not a game, y'all. Not a game, y'all. It's not a game. It's very paramount for you to know who you are. And the more you go wandering this plane, not knowing who you are, the more susceptible you're going to be to abuse from other citizens. Because you don't know who you are. You don't know that you stand superior to all other citizenship on the plane. It don't matter what country you are, based on the fact that you're the original, you're an heir or a descendant of the original people here. The originals, not no copies, not the seconds, not the thirds, not the fourths. The originals, the first. First in time, first in line. In order to be first in line, you got to know that you were first in time. And that's all based on blood, sanguinity. All right? So just keep that in mind and don't stray from that. You coming from Jamaica, and then you come over here, and then, you know, they set you up shop, you know, you want to do your you do your citizenship and etc. Well, also too, a lot of people thinking it's an issue for them to come over here, and then, well, you know, if I come in through the United States,